Namaste. Here we go, number 29, the Darkness to Light Godcast. Thank you all for joining me again, if you're returning. Anybody who is new to it, welcome. And the intention with it, as always, is just to kind of, share the stuff that I've picked up along my way, along this way of living, this intentional living and intentional life that I talk about. The program, the work, the mission, the desire is to simply, share the stuff that I've learned along my path, the things that have helped me on my own healing journey, and the teachers and the lessons that I've been blessed with, which there are many over the last 28 years. It's been an incredible journey. And, for me now, the stage and bit that I'm at, is still watching it unfolding, watching the work that we're doing within the Vortex Team, which is in so many different fronts at the minute. It's been an incredible year. It's been such a challenging year. Probably not recently it's been challenging. When I actually stopped, I was forced to stop. We actually take stock of what we've achieved since probably this time last year is when it started. Lying down at the river last night and thinking about this time last year when Michael and Fern we're starting to get to know each other, which is only a year ago. We're really just kicking stuff around about the fire after the Mosley Bridge sessions. And wee Murph, who's right behind the camera, lying on the healing bed, was tuning into Fern, and Michael was saying some stuff, and hearing Michael when he was talking about, that I'm getting his job up, and not even really knowing at that point what he did. They just kept showing up every Wednesday. And then fast forward to January time, after the discussions on about the fire and the realisation of what they did, and obviously know what I was really planning to do at the time, because I didn't really know, probably waiting to see how it was going to unfold, and being open-minded, and at the same time, I had a real feeling that something was coming. And then Michael and Fern show up, with all these different skill sets and, abilities to take what I had, been doing with this work and what I'd created over the years, and the stuff that I was sharing online, and the entire system, or the programme as I called it, and really kind of forcing me to put it all together and accelerate it in ways that I would never have foreseen. I thought the programme, the book, was going to be the second book that I wrote, the Darkness to Light. Once I'd finished that, then it was really on to, I'm going to write the programme, which I started. I was probably 13,000 words in, and I was looking really at the next probably 18 months of just like finishing the programme, writing it, and then, getting the first book published, and then probably waiting until they were both at the same time, and probably doing it as a package. And then inside weeks we had a thing, we had a programme that was basically documented. I explained what it was, how it went together, explained, the kind of concepts of the wheel of your life, and how it explained the programme and gave people an understanding, because I realised like the language and the words that I'm using, and you need to experience it, obviously, but in terms of people looking into it from the outside and just trying to make sense of it, it's very, very difficult. I get that. It took me a long time to learn it, and even longer to probably understand it. So I get that people looking at it, they can think that it's absolute madness when you've no real concept, or, a bridge, a kind of, the brain, when it sees an unknown, it can't take it in. You need some sort of unknown, some sort of common ground that you can actually start to understand it. And this is difficult for a lot of people. I get that. But then, come January time, when the programme was kind of being put together, and it was starting to become a thing, and then, Michael and Fern, the position that they were in, their desire to help and take this mission to the world, it was like the perfect storm, So from that point forward, the last year up until probably 6 weeks ago was just non-stop. It was work, literally every single day. I don't think we really got a day away from it. Probably maybe a few, but no many. And the ones that we were on it, we were absolutely on it. From 4 a.m, messages, meditations, conversations every day. No matter day or night, it didn't matter. The mission we were all on to try and create something and take it to the world. At the time, the amount of things that we managed to achieve, and the time we did it in, between the Scottish tour and the Breathe and Believes and the One Day to Change Your Life. I was talking to Michael this morning, thinking about so many incredible memories now that I'm getting a chance to, think about, where I'm at, because the bounce is on. This one, number 29, is called The Bounce. It's been a really rough 6 weeks. and just the last couple of days I'm starting to come out of it, and as always with this stuff, I'm just talking about where I am. I'm just talking about how it goes together, and how it goes together for me. And the only way I can really do that is by being honest and explaining where I'm at. I had a look at myself in the mirror there before I come on, and I've not slept for about 3 nights. I've done my neck in off the back of the last 6 weeks with the illness, and the last couple of weeks of just the madness. And then the last few nights, the pain I've been in with my neck. I tweaked my neck. I don't know how. But basically tweaked my neck and the pain got down my arm, so the mobility in my arm, I'm getting it back now, but for a couple of days I couldn't find a single position I was comfortable in. I couldn't sleep, couldn't lie in bed, couldn't go on my side, my front, couldn't even sit in meditation the first night. And coming on here today, and I'm thinking, again, it's just to express where I am. I think that's the first thing I've done it without a shave. I was in the ice this morning. As soon as I woke up this morning, I got up, I was straight in the ice within minutes. I jumped into the shower, then into the cold, just to give myself a wake up. Down at the river last night was incredible, and the cold exposure and the kind of the tools and techniques that I'm using just now, I've really upped my practices. I've had to, because talking about the bounce and talking about what it's all about and how it works, I've been saying, and it's interesting watching my students going on about it and them now understanding this language, this terminology. What is the bounce? What does that even mean? That came from Abraham Hicks. That was the idea that when you're off it, when you're because this is all about being on it. We're all about flying and being in the flow and being in alignment and being in that well-being state, being inspired, being in spirit. Like, fuck motivation, man. Motivation's too hard. But to be in spirit, to be in alignment, to be in the flow state. Alignment's another one of Abraham's words. That's what it's all about, and that's what the programme and intentional living is all about. It's about an entry level, like, I suppose the simplest way to describe it is to reconnect and to remember, and then to get back to the way that it's meant to be. And if you've never been that way before, then it's an unknown, so at that point, the intention with the experience of coming here, whether it's online or going through the process, is so we can, so I can take you through the stepping stones and across the bridges, so you can actually understand through direct experience what it is I'm talking about. Talk is cheap and it doesn't work. You can talk about meditation and peace of mind, and for somebody whose nervous system's never been switched off or is living in chronic stress and inflammation, and literally can't turn it off for whatever reason, then at that point you've got no chance. You need to experience it. So that's really what that's really what the whole thing leads towards. No matter what it is that I'm doing, the experience of even just learning to breathe properly, that could be a miracle. Being able to switch off your stress, that could be like a literal miracle. As a starter for 10, and just giving yourself the opportunity to experience peace of mind. For some people, they've never had that. One of the things, there's two things when people come here, especially in person. A lot of times they'll go to sleep, so putting people to sleep basically by switching off their nervous system, taking them to rest and digest, parasympathetic. And also allowing people to greet, or allowing them whatever it is that comes up, to produce tears on them, is the two things that, just when people find that space, when they go inside, that can be like a miracle. You're like tapping into your emotions and your feelings enough to cry again. For some people, maybe the first time in their life. So you're really kind of switching from the mind and the intellect and the lower self and the ego level of living, the circus and the zoo and the jungle, unconsciousness, that real ignorance, which is where most of the world is just now. It is. Hawkins reckoned 85% of the world was just lost in ignorance and basically didn't know. They were getting up and reading the Daily Record and eating out of Greggs and just gambling and eating shite and just surviving and making their way through life basically by being distracted from one thing to the next, for the holidays, to the football match, to the nights out, to the drama, to the stress, to the television, to the ways of the world. And the people find themselves just in this never end, and it's like, that is a literal simulation, because every single bit of it, there's not that much of it that's even in the slightest profound or significant or matters. It's all just a show. It's all bullshit. When you really get to the real essence of what it all is about, and you see the damage that circus is doing to the world. And watching last night, we're down at the river, and it was dry again, but there was that metally horrible spray in the sky. It's no rain. it's just isn't rain. It's a mist, they would call it. The forecast when I got down there was a mist. And we're lying under which should have been a beautiful night, not a breath of air in the sky. It was just a wonderful night. The river was lovely. The river was freezing, but just this mist. And you're thinking about, and I talk to the fishermen, and you hear about how, the lack of fish over the years, and you think back to not that long ago with the Native Americans and, the different, civilizations that could literally live off the land. Even here, not that long ago, within the last 10 years, people that were able to, maybe a wee bit further back than that, especially down the borders and the kind of farming areas of Scotland, living off the land, like basically going out and catching rabbits and hares and as a food source, having a chest freezer at home where they could go and catch their food and butcher it themselves, and then, so that's not that long ago. But you get now, and there's no rabbits, there's no squirrels, there's very little wildlife. I remember walking around New Lanark, the Loop, many years ago, and thinking, where's all the wildlife? This place should be just teeming with everything, and there's nothing. So the damage that's been done, the damage, the environmental damage and the stress that we're surrounded by, and the challenges we face, that's been, for me, it's ideally never meant to be like that. Does it affect my work when I'm teaching or presenting? Then probably not. I've done it that many times now, and I've lived it for that long that the minute I try to, the intentions to pay it forward, then it always works out fine. I don't need to be on it to be able to teach it, it seems. It has done for quite a bit now. But at the same time, when you are off it, as I have been for the last 6 weeks, the 4 weeks of that virus was just a nightmare. I've never been as sick in my life. And still recovering, I think, still really, really tired and breathless and no feeling or looking the best. Up until probably just the last couple of days, I'm starting to get a wee bit matchy again. And then you deal with all the emotional stuff, the insanity of the last couple of weeks that's been coming through and what's been showing up, and the literal threats and challenges that I've faced. And on a personal level, it's been, you start to look at the world, which I have been doing over the last week or so. Just recently I started to tune into a wee bit of the world politics, what's going on with Iran now, and what's going on within that whole area, and the implications of what's going on in the world with the change from American dominance in terms of currency, and how the world how we exchange stuff. The Americans, the reason they're the most powerful is because of the US, the dollar, the petrodollar, and how that's all changing now towards BRICS, and there's these new superpowers that are forming together as a collective, and wanting to do good, it seems, in the system that we're under, and you think about the wars, the literal genocide and the wars that are taking place just now in different areas of the world, and how the role that America and we play in that, the allies to that, and this is another one of the classics, darkness or light, the challenges that we face, and the horrors of the world, and the pain and the suffering that's going on. It's very difficult to be in a place of absolute thrival just now. It's caught out so many people, myself included, and where the specifics of it doesn't really matter. So for me it was, the illness, and then being able to stop for 4 weeks, and then just really needing that time to get my shit together, because I was really not well. I was really kind of almost burnt out a couple of times. I did burn out. Where my doctor, my acupuncturist, was basically saying, you need to stop, this isn't he? And he's never said that to me in 15 years, so been exhausted, bed for 2 days, really, and then the virus, 4 weeks, hallelujah, thank you, baby Jesus, time to relax and sleep as much as I want, which was great, even though I was really ill at the time going through it. And then, you start to then be in a place of almost, for me, it was coming out the other side of it, 4 weeks in, anger and frustration, and looking a wee bit at the world and seeing a couple of things that I didn't like, and then depending on where that's another Abraham, put your boat in the water, wherever you wherever you set up stall that day, if you're in watching, clowns on whatever reason, whatever forum, and for whatever reason, and you come across him and you go, I wonder what he's up to. And I know that every time I look at him, I end up in a place that I don't like. The awareness to not do that, which I probably should have, when I saw a couple of things, and the message that this what do you call them, was putting out there, I was like, I don't agree with that. That's not, and the minute I was in there at that level, then you're in a different place. And I think, for me, when I'm speaking my truth and where I am, there's not really much of a filter on it, which is, a blessing and a curse. It allows me to speak my truth at all times. I hold it back a wee bit. I try to not really hurt anybody, but at the same time try and get my point across. But the way that all the stuff would come through, I always believe it's for the greatest good. That's my intention every single day, and I'm always surprised at where it comes from, continuously. So the way that all that came through, and it came out, and the good that it's done, absolutely, wouldn't take it back. But at the same time, then the human element, on the back of being ill, and then dealing with all this kind of, the horribleness, the impact of that. Then I found myself in a place where probably last week, really struggling, really suffering. Probably felt depressed for a couple of days. Really off it. Really didn't want to do anything. Couldn't really see a way forward. Wasn't sure of so many things. You start to question stuff when you're in that low level. When you get a few dunts, one after the other, and then you get an uppercut, and then somebody boots you in the kidneys, and then before you know it, you're in your knees. It's the downward spiral, and how you navigate your way through it. I was very aware as I was going through it, where I was at and what I was bringing to it, and the stuff that I teach. Jim Rohn says that sometimes it's easier to teach it than it is to live it, and that's absolutely the case. I spoke to somebody else closely associated with the Vortex, and they were saying how they were just off it and didn't want to get back on it. They were quite happy just being in a funk. And for a couple of days there, I actually felt like that for the first time in I don't know how long, so what are the lessons, and why am I doing this? Why am I talking about this? It'd be easy for me to just go and not talk about that and come on and basically, everyone's great and let's go again. But I think the lessons is, and especially the ones that have been close to me, I can't hide now because I'm online with the programme members. They know me intimately, and they'll tell my messages where I'm at, or they can see me on video a couple of times a week. The conversations are in the experience, so they know where I am. The struggle for me as I'm going through it and having awareness to go, what's the lessons in this? Where is the gold in this? What can I take out of this? Because what I'm going through, absolutely, you become, so much more connected to where a lot of people are. It's fine when you're flying and you're doing great and you've got all the answers and it's like out my road, but you're in full alignment. But at the same time, there are so many people that have never experienced that for one, but are in a place that's so far away from that. Survival and dealing with mental health and addictions and, people that are at all levels, all the way down to hopelessness and suicidal. And, so to come off it now and again, as I was off it and as bad as I was feeling, it helped me remember. Where I was and where I started and why I'm doing this and what it's all about, with the services that I'm looking to provide. Mental health is a huge part of it. That was the start for 10. And the shift that's been taking place for me recently is like, what is it I want to do? What am I doing and what do I want to do? And this year's all about creating the programme. Version 2 of the programme comes out in January, the 1st of January is coming out, and I'm so excited for Michael and Fern. But Michael, over the last week or so, Michael has just been keeping me, the ship, up with his optimism and his positivity and his just knowing of, as he said, this makes everything better. This work literally makes everything better. When he said that to me last year, everything that touches gets better with us. Just keep doing it. It's just a matter of time. And the last week or so, with his enthusiasm from the Father, as Wayne Dyer taught me, being in that flow of just like getting excited with something, at a time where a lot of the other members, most of the members, probably led and driven by me vibrationally within the group. It's been a real time of the wheels have come off, and to the point where it's like, okay, let's see where we're at. What is next? Because it isn't working. It's not working for me. I'm not feeling it. We're not getting there. We're all changing seasons and that kind of stuff. But it's like, what is the intention? And you need to stop to do that. You can't be when it's like a runaway train, which it kind of was a wee bit, like a controlled runaway train. It's kind of had to stop and get into the station for like maintenance, it feels like, and getting some new, maybe faster wheels on it. And that's where the contrast and having awareness to know that it's okay, that there is a time to be on it, which is great, and that is hopefully 99.9% of the time. But when you're actually off it, the benefits in that are so powerful. One of my teachers, he asked me a question, which is the first line in the book, Darkness to Light, and it was basically, are you enjoying the contrast yet? This was about maybe 8 or 9 years ago, and it came from Abraham, to enjoy the contrast, to be okay with being off it. Are you alright being off it? And when you're being on it and you're flying, that can be really challenging. If you've never experienced well-being, or you've experienced being in the flow state, or being happy or joyful, or just for things are coming towards you and you're feeling good and you're manifesting stuff, just by what you're bringing to it and what you expect. If you've never experienced that, maybe a wee bit hard to understand, but if you have been in those places and then you can really off it to the point where I was, where depressed, a wee bit like down, like what the fuck, what is this? I remember this is horrible. How quick can I get away from this? But then being okay with the fact that, you're in that place and what's the lessons in it. And one of the great lessons is that when you're really suffering and you're struggling, like wishing you were up here, I liken it to a capital Y, where you're up here and it's shite and you're trying to get back towards the light. And you're trying to, as Lemmy would say, jump the chasm. You can't get across it because it's too big. And you're looking across and you want to be up here, but you can't, because you're feeling so bad and you're low, and everything you're looking at it seems to be getting worse, and everything you touch, and that's kind of where I was. So what I teach my students and what I had to do myself was to basically stop doing that and allow myself to basically, instead of trying to get across there, looking at that and wondering why I can't get there just makes it worse. So just to stop, that's why when I take people through the breathing, doesn't matter where you are, what battles you're fighting, what fronts you're fighting on, you need to stop, and to stop and see what direction you're going in. That's very much what this has been about the last especially the last 2 or 3 days for me, is like stopping and going, right, where am I? Stop trying to get there, stop trying to fix it, stop trying to make it better. You're digging that hole by trying to work it out in the head, trying to make sense of the intellect, so good luck with that. What do I want to do? And it's back to the basics, it's back to the fundamentals. What do I want to do that makes me happy? What do I want to do that puts a smile on my face? What work do I want to do that's calling me just now? Know the stuff that I need to be doing, or should be trying to do, to get more people on about it, or whatever. What's the stuff that basically gets me out of my bed in the morning? What's the stuff that inspires me? And very quickly it came through that it's coaching people. That's my favourite thing to do, is the one-on-ones, whether it's online, which is becoming more now, but if one-on-one and in person, and really getting into the, really seeing who somebody is and hearing their story, and obviously in that kind of situation, especially in the Vortex, as somebody said last night, that building, man, that room, it's a vortex. It's 28 years of my work and all the goodness that's coming through the doors, the healing that's taking place. It's a literal spinning thing. It's an entity within itself, where a space, where people come in and are able to switch off and reconnect back to themselves, and the stuff that comes up and the stuff that comes through. I am absolutely blessed in so many ways with the lessons that I'm getting, which is really new ways to learn to help people, to find their own relief with the tools and techniques. So the coaching for me is what it's all about. It's fascinating to me. A lot of people don't really know that's what I do. They see me as, whether it's the cold water guy or the breathing guy and all that kind of stuff, the online program now, so maybe it looks like it's trying to go to a different level, all the reels, as if I don't know, maybe this isn't what I do. This is a vehicle for just to explain what I do. So when people start to get on about it and they start to see what it is that I do, it's actually coaching. That's my main suit. I'm an alignment coach. I'm not a life coach. I always feel like life coaches, well, it depends, if you've been there for 6 weeks and then you don't go back and you're feeling great and you're flying and you go and get it, then magic. But in my experience, and most of the people that I know, it's a direct debit of 50 or 60 or 70 quid a time for the rest of your days. And a lot of people never ever get beyond it. And it's a great place to start, absolutely. And there's so many good people out there that are doing that work. But for me, it's about transcendence. For me, it's about self-reliance and really designing your own way of living based on, I owe everybody else's stuff, but to create your own program, create your own system that works right for you based on, your feelings and your emotions and whatever it is that puts a smile on your face. So the whole thing that we've been able to, put together, where it's at just now, where the team, I suppose, we've got, we're now in a position we can go anywhere. We can go anywhere in the world, which is really exciting. We've got version 2 of the programme coming out, which is probably the most exciting bit, just because of where Michael is. We've got all these different workshops, whether it's online, the community, the retreats. There's another one, the next retreat is next weekend, the 8th till the 11th. That's sold out, closed. It never sold out, it closed. We've closed the numbers are perfect. It's now the group, the preparation is started for next weekend, so anybody that's still interested in that, I'm sorry, but it's done and dusted. The next one will be probably February time, I'm thinking. So But the amount of different vehicles was the point I was making that were basically created for people to come in, the experience every Tuesday night, free classes. One of the things that came through that last night, it's like such a win, such a victory for how everybody's going to like benefit for this. You know, the person that's getting on about it, us as a community, the possibilities of more people coming in through this new channel that I didn't even know existed up until last night when I left the river. Thanks to my sister who's putting that together and helping so many people trying to help just now. And I think it's because people have been drawn towards the truth and the light, which is what this is all about. You know, it's all about the answers and the solutions. We know how bad it is. I know what it feels like to feel bad. I've just had a really kind of like taster of that again. And I remember my journey, not as a warning, but as an example, because it's all about the solutions. How do we, you know, enable wherever somebody is to come in and get something that enables them to find relief right for the very first session. That was the one thing that started me on that kind of Real Fest, was when I saw your man talking about 4 sessions, you need 4 sessions, and I'm going, right, okay, so where do you get in 4 sessions? What bit do you get to in 4 sessions? What's the cost in it for a starter for 10? But like, what is the process over the 4 weeks? And for me, I'm all about shortcuts. For me, I'm all about how quick can we get there. I would rather see somebody, which I always do, and this is the worst business model in the world, as everybody keeps telling me, but the one session, the reset and the reconnect session, probably wrongly for myself up until probably the last 6 months or so, when somebody goes through that and they come in, and it doesn't matter what they're coming in with, it can be the most horrific, the stuff, you know, the darkness, no matter what it is, on every level. I've seen everything, and there isn't anything that I've came across yet. It's like I've seen it all, and I watch almost every single time what happens to people when they come in, no matter who they come in as and what they're holding, what they're carrying. You can see it in them, you can feel it in them. And you know, when you start to get into it, and when they walk through the gates, you can see them coming up the path a lot of the times. By the time they get inside and into the main room, you know, it's like the healing's it's literally started to take place. Why? Because you're in a different vibration. You're in a place of light and answers where nothing ever goes wrong, and where people find, you know, the way. Essentially, it's reconnection back to the divine, back to the self. So that's a place where, for somebody that's really struggling and in uncertainty, perhaps suicidal, when you walk into that place, that's why when you walk into the great churches, the sacred geometry, it carries a vibration. It's similar to in here. You know, when people walk through the doors, things start to shift. And then because of, you know, the experience itself, because you can talk to your blue in the face, you can sit and listen to somebody tell their story where they are, which I don't really like to do. I think it's important to understand, you know, the nuts and bolts of it, and kind of the level of it, absolutely. And if somebody wants to tell their story, of course. But very quickly we need to get beyond that, and the way to get beyond that isn't by sitting talking about it and seeing where you were, and you know, and then we're going to design a plan over the next 4, 6, 8, 12, rest of your life, that's basically going to enable you to. For me, it's always felt like you're managing your way with band-aids and just making it through the next week, you know, whereas for me, it's like being able to navigate that and not get cut anymore. You know, having awareness to basically navigate your way through it, so that nothing, you know, that it's the deflection game. It's awareness to see the stuff that's coming towards you, so you don't get caught up ever again anymore. That's really what it should be, you know. So the first session, which, and for me, it should only really be one session. And then after that, once you're fully reconnected and you remember how you're able to feel, the challenge, I suppose, is there's so much in it. In terms of the programme itself, there's so much in it. It's like, where do you begin? You know, and it's almost too vast at a certain level when you take it from the outside and you see the different headings and what it benefits. But at the same time, it's so simple and so basic that once you learn the language and the principles and you apply it to your life, then it makes everything better, you know. So at that point, it's probably the first session, which is the experience, and then the second session after that, I would recommend people then to get straight onto the programme, even if it's just for a month, and if they're really serious about it, to learn the language and to learn the practices and the tools and the techniques, and as to why you're doing all of that, you know, and then using your own life, you know, as a scorecard, as to see whether it's working or not. So that's the way that I would do it. You know, it's like you one session, which will be enough, guaranteed, and then at that point you're standing in a new place. So when you understand how it all goes together, then if you don't do it then, if you don't do the work then, if I was to say, like, then go a month, take a month and do this for a month every single day. If you're really tired of being the way you are and you want to make a difference in your life, this is going to take work, and nobody's going to do it for you, and that's a huge challenge for a lot of people. I won't do it for them, and if they don't want to do it, then all good, we're doing it. I need to do it every single day. The people that are flying are doing it every single day, some of the miracles that we are seeing consistently. It comes and goes, and there's another new wave just about to hit. I can feel so many people are about to bounce, so many people are on the bounce, because it's been tough for a lot of people recently. It's a collective there's been a real heaviness. I think the weather we've had all year in Scotland, I really feel those towers that they're turning on, but it's your man Musk with the Starlink and all these new masts that are going up, the amount of people that are suffering with like chronic inflammation of the mind that can't control, their thought process, or they're so switched on. I've found my meditations very different recently, in terms of where I'm at and how I'm sometimes not able to get to where I've been able to get to so often, easily, because it feels like there's something in there, literally. So again, many challenges we're facing, but the solutions and the answers and the way is so simple and so profound and so easy and so basic that anybody, and in fact everybody, should be getting on about it, because it makes everything better. We're talking about reconnection back to yourself, back into your heart, back into your soul, away from the mind and your belief as to what you think you are, your name or your motor or your bank account or how significant you are or your legacy. Well done, but who gives a fuck, really? That stuff doesn't matter. It comes and it goes. This life experience is all about the experience. It's all about expansion. Everybody's at a different place. But the ultimate goal for me, the amount of people that are lost and don't even know they're lost. And then the amount of people that are soul searching, looking for answers because they know there's something. It should be something greater than that they're getting. They've got a feeling, they don't know what it is. I hear that every day. I don't quite know what it is, but I know there's something. And I'm going, and I know what that something is. And very quickly, inside an hour, inside 10 minutes, you switch your head off through the intentional breath. You switch off your nervous system, and then by the power of intention, reconnecting back into your heart and simply opening up your heart and feeling the power that's inside you, feeling the goodness that's inside you, which is inside everybody. That goodness is inside every single human being. That's the divinity that we carry inside of us. That's the bit they're trying to keep you away from. That's the bit that if you don't connect into and you don't understand what it is and you don't realise it within yourself, that realisation of the divinity inside of you, then you're up here, then you're in your head, then you're in your mind, and then they've got you. Then the news and the arguing and who's right and who's wrong and who's going to get elected and who gives a fuck. Because it's a circus. It doesn't matter who gets in. You watch when your man gets in. You watch when Trump gets in. I watched them with Operation Warp Speed the last time with the vaccines, and they're all the same. You don't get to that level. You just don't. It doesn't matter. It's all controlled. They can only go so far. So it's a time for truth. It's a time for answers. It's a time for solutions. It's a time for self-reliance. And that comes from the direct experience of reconnecting back into yourself. And that's a spiritual process, no matter how you dress it up. It's spirituality. That's what I teach. The life development and the life enhancement and the kind of personal development in terms of the stuff that you can do to make yourself feel better at a physical level. The breath work to manage your nervous system, to switch off the stress. Anxiety becomes a choice. Depression becomes a choice. You add into that things like cold exposure. I defy anybody to sit in a river in Scotland up here at this time of year, even as warm as it was last night, the external air temperature, the river's still running at single figures. You can't sit in that for a couple of minutes and feel bad. It's impossible to focus on anything other than, number one, am I going to get swept away? Number two, what was that? When stuff feels like it's going by, or even the level of cleanliness within the river, the external factors you're dealing with as it's running over the top of you. But you get a couple of minutes and that stress response hits you. What you need to do to get to that place with the breath. All of a sudden, I watch when people leave it, pitch black, the fire in the background under the big tree. The space that's created by being in Mother Nature, just by being in it and being away from your phone, by lying and doing some breath work, and lying in your mat and feeling the energy coming up through the earth and feeling the power of the tree above you, before you even get into the river, just to be in that space, miracles can take place. It's so powerful. And so many people are craving something just now. People are looking for answers. And that's why, the bounce for me just now, what did I need to do? I had to stop trying to get there, I had to stop trying to work it out, and then I had to get back to basics, I had to get back to doing the work. What do I need to do to make myself feel better? What do I need to do? I've had enough of this, the tears and the snotters and this is shite, which it really was. There's a time for that, and then the ability to be in it and say, right, okay, what do I need for this? What's the lessons for this? How can I make this better? What do I need to do? What do I need to change? had to basically double up. I've just had to double up my practices. I've been moving every single day. I've been doing Qigong every single day. I've been doing Tai Chi every single day. I've been doing the massage points from Shiatsu on my spleen in particular every single day for the last probably 5 weeks. I've been doing them now. I'm looking at something that's really interesting me. I'm going to start training again. There's different ways I'm going to train that I've never trained before, which I'm excited about. A couple of young brothers that have came through the Vortex who I'm going to be doing a wee bit of work with, a bit of an exchange. They're going to be helping me start to look after my body, which I haven't done for the last probably 6 or 7 years in terms of physical training. Up to that point it was 25 to 30 hours a week, killing myself every week for decades. And then the last 6 or 7 years with the cold and the breathing has been about active recovery. But I've been so busy in different ways that I've not looked after myself the way that I probably need to. Again, the spiritual journey and what I'm doing, it's the physical has been neglected a wee bit because of the spiritual side of it. That's just the way that it has been. I've just lost the desire to train and probably look after myself physically. The diet and everything's fine, but in terms of training and getting the heart working, I get it with the sauna, but it's not the same to basically, and for somebody who's trained their whole life, I'm excited for that, excited for getting back into a wee bit of martial arts. The gentle arts, I'm going to get strong enough, by God I'm going to get strong enough to get back to the gentle art for a wee bit of fun, and then striking as well, a wee bit of karate stuff and mixing in with Tai Chi. I'm interested in the soft arts, the manipulation of energy and bringing that into my daily practice, which I have been, being a yogi, not doing yoga, but being a yogi and moving with intention and breath and the amount of, experiences of reconnection to the divine, like experiencing yoga, which is what yoga is. So many yoga teachers that I know that they look great and have like a meditation practice, and they're selling courses and selling just fucking being a Ashtanga or a yoga teacher, and it's like, what is that? It's just moves. It's like pure gym. Go to the gym. It's the same thing. Unless you've got the spiritual intention behind it, unless it's about meditation. I remember a really advanced yogi, well-known yogi, which a meditation practice, and she looked at me as if I was mental, and I'm going, you're not yogi. You're just doing yoga. You're a Western yogi, and all these the minions that line up want to be a yogi and haven't got a clue what it is. So for me, like really doing yoga again myself the last couple of weeks, after 5 months-ish of doing the live every morning meditations, without any excuses, I just get away from even that practice, so going back and moving again and stretching and breathing and being in alignment and being in union on that prayer mat, that yoga mat, just wonderful, just really starting to see what I need and doing it for fun, having a wee bit of fun is the most important part. And the bounce is in the post. I can feel it. I'm still feeling a wee bit of the virus. It's still a wee bit in me. My neck is about probably 60% maybe in terms of that's making its way back. I've been sleeping on that bed for the last 8 weeks. I'm looking forward to getting back into my own bed. But at the same time, really excited by what's came through during this process, this period of time. The pain and the suffering, being conscious and staying there. Big Michael the other night was kind of trying to talk me out of, but in terms of compassion, who's interested, learn about compassion for a breath work, but things like switching off your stress and getting a good night's sleep, that's something that attracts a lot more people, so for business that would be better. And I'm thinking, and I said to him, I can only talk about where I am, I can only teach from where I am, which is what I'm living. That's why this isn't work to me. That's why it seems so easy, because when I'm flying, it's great. When I'm dying and I'm struggling, then what do you then do? Do you run away from it, or do you say, right, okay, this is where I am. My intention is to pass this on so that I can help people. So at that point, what a great opportunity, to basically go, aye, this is not that easy now, and this is what I'm doing, and this is what I've done, and here I am now, just about to bounce. The pain and the suffering and the contrast, and the know where I would like to be. And I'm still not there. There's many levels above where I would like to be and love to be in my life experience. Fascinating to watch that unfold. But at the same time now, I've got the relief, and I've basically stopped trying to get there. And now, instantly, I'm starting to climb up to the other side. I'm about here now. I've came the bounce, and I'm already in that place where, right, okay, stabilise, just stop, take a breath, take many breaths as I have been doing, and then just stopping. And now I'm kind of feeling myself starting to get, there's a couple of things have happened, and I'm starting to go, aye, okay, that's why we're doing it. I remember now. I remember the mission. and all these lessons over the last wee bit, and now it's time to kind of almost go again without rushing it or trying to, accelerate the process. There's none of that, but at the same time, the real knowing of, okay, it's starting to shift. I don't feel like that anymore, and I'm starting to climb out it. Now, what can I do? How can I make it even better as quick as I can? How can I make this even better is one of my questions. That was always one of my questions. How can I make it even better than this? So when you're flying, you just continuously look for that. Again, Abraham, that better feeling place. The better it gets, the better it gets. So to create that as you're going is kind of what I'm feeling is starting to pull me towards it. So a time to be on it and a time to be off it. Being off it, that is a gift. The contrast is a gift. Savouring the contrast, savouring the pain and the suffering, so that, with free will you can say, right, I don't like this, and then, okay, what can I do? What do I need to do? What do I have the ability to do? And that's a choice. And those that know me know that I love the choice. God bless the choice. The ability to, do it differently, the ability to learn how it goes together, how to, the significance of well-being and feeling good and being happy and joyful, and how that feeds into everything. How it feeds into the planet, and the counterbalance of that. I'm talking a lot about that just now. What you do with your daily practices, whether it's meditation or yoga, or even just going inside with intention to get quiet and reconnect back to yourself and to your heart and feel good. David Hawkins talks a lot about the counterbalance of that light, that simple intention of the light that you're bringing in, and what it does to the rest of the world. How that's literally stops suicides. And how, you need to understand the levels of this and the power that's in this, the power of the divine, which so few do. That's why there's nothing to be afraid of with the dark side of the force. Those that are in the dark side, like, fucking, send your best, as Big Mick says. There's nothing to be afraid of. All the sneakery and the trickery is in free fall. The world just now is changing, and the light, the people, even today, the people I've spoke to today, that are asking such spiritually profound questions, like boys for the scheme, literally having the choice between, being in the light and being on the path, in their words, and staying in the light, and everything goes well, or basically like stepping off the curb and being away for the, for that divine path. So it's either for God or for me. That's the way I put it. The choice of, like, and that's a light worker. Somebody who's got intentions to help people and to serve people, and to help people find relief. We're talking about compassion. I'm talking about compassion loads just now. To inspire people and to lift other people up. Not as a service that detriments you, as I've done so many times over the years, but to inspire people. And so many people are getting that in different ways. In easier ways, it seems like, in terms of the lessons I've learned and how they're putting it together and how they're making sense of it. And that's where I feel absolutely blessed for anybody that's coming in about it, especially coaches that are new to this way of living and this life. For me to help them, with the stuff that I've learned, so that they can then expand and become what they need to become. That's what this is all about just now for me, the stage I'm at. It's like leaving it behind and paying it forward so that other people can get it, so that it's no loss. That's why we document everything now. So really, really exciting. There's so much goodness. There's so much. There's literally so much light just now. There's also loads of shite. There's loads of darkness. You see it all the time. The level of consciousness within the world and the zoo, and the atrocities that are taking place just now in the world. And what human beings are getting away with, war crimes and so many different ways. There's so much truth coming through in different areas that people are going to be able to go, you know what? As I said the last time, when I realised that everything I knew was wrong and how things are enabled in this world, in terms of countries and governments being taken down, and how the agenda behind it is always money, the military complex and how it all goes together. It's so many people can see it now. So many people are realising, as always, how's it working, how's it going? Know that well. Why? Because of the pain and suffering that's taking place. And a human being, if you have anything left in you, in terms of, if you have anything left of your soul, the light that's in the soul of a human being, the divine perfection that we come from, when you see the truth and you see what's happening, then there's nothing you can really do. You've got a choice to make. There's nothing that's like, you'll either go one way or the other. It's either okay or it isn't. And so many people they still have, like, a bit of that goodness still in them. separated from it and they're forgotten perhaps, absolutely. But the danger is with these kids that are coming up and they don't know whether they're a tree or they're a biscuit or they're a fucking cat. They don't know their gender, they don't know. It's like that generation by design and the medications and the challenges that they face. Understandable that they are going to be so easy to lead, and a lot of them are separated already. They're a complete separation from their feelings and their emotions, and a lot of them, their hearts and their souls have been split. Especially over the last, probably the last 10, 15 years. But the spark that's in human beings, the light that is in human beings, when that's turned back on again and you reconnect back to it and you see what's going on within the world, then you get a choice to make. And then it's dead simple. It's black and white. It's darkness or light. Choose your side, and then let's go. Let's go at it, because that's what's coming. It's not a holy war or a military war that I see. It's a spiritual war. It's a fight for your soul. And the darkness and the trickery and the sneakery and the illusionists of the world that are under the powers of darkness and the ego, the power of the divine, the love and the light and the grace that is God, it's like there is no competition. You can't. It's a vibrational thing. That's why the darkness hates the light. It can't be done about it, because you take the candle into the dark room, the darkness disappears. I love that, so to be the light, to stand in the light, to stand for the truth, to speak your truth, to be yourself, to serve. All glory to God, to get into and know what God is, to learn meditation, to learn to breathe and switch off your nervous system to begin with, and then go and at least try it, at least come and see what it is. Come on, experience free and feel what meditation is, and then you've got a choice to make. Once you know what it is, you can't really say that it's rubbish, because once you've been through that process of getting a wee bit of it and remembering, because it's in there, it's in all of us. And once you go through the process of out the head and back into your heart and into your soul, then you remember the power that's inside of you. That reconnection takes place. And for me then, the bounce for humanity, it's probably going to take enough pain and suffering, which I've always felt, which really I wish I hadn't, but I've always felt it was going to have to affect enough people. The mammies always felt, the mothers of the world had to be affected in such a deep way that it was like, nah, enough's enough, stop. This is too much. And now, because of not the mainstream media, but the information that's coming through, what's happening in the world, with soldiers literally taking videos of what they're doing, the war crimes they're doing, and posting them on TikTok. God almighty, TikTok, fucking it just shows how far we've fallen. It does. It shows how far we've fallen as a species. And then what is the end game for all of that, when the leaders and who's funding it and who's backing it and the intention behind it, what is the end game? Where does that finish? Because it just seems to be going in one direction. So now it's escalating, and please God, it doesn't get to that point where it has to happen. So we do reach that point of like desolation and losing everything, where we need to go, what, fuck this. There must be another way. And that's why I feel that this is divine intervention. This great reset is being done by the love and the light and the grace of consciousness, the field, God, whatever that is, that word God, the source of all creation. I believe that that's what's basically enabling, because it needs to change. The world's broken, the planet is sick, human beings are lost and under control, obviously, because so many people are sick. So at that point, the danger of even like nuclear war and the way they throw that about, whether that would ever happen, but the nuclear winter after it and the decimation that takes place, it's like for what, 250,000 years, the life cycle of some of these particles and what it does to nature and Mother Nature. Don't worry about Mother Nature, don't worry about the Earth. The Earth will bounce back. It's us I'm worried about as a species, what's left of us. So progress isn't good, obviously, and when it's taken to the nth degree of what we're looking at with robots and AI and the integration, try that with my teeth, of human beings and this technology. That's not the way it's meant to be. That's not how God planned it. So at that point, I'm hoping the divine steps in and does whatever it needs to do to stop the madness and get us back to the way it's meant to be, like messing with the fabric of nature. When boys become girls and girls become boys and then we don't know where we are, at that point something needs to happen, and it obviously can't be changed by the same mind that created it. Why would they want to stop it when they're serving whatever the fuck they're serving? So at that point, we go to the highest power that there is, that everything comes through. And balance will be restored, of course it will. The yin and the yang, it needs to be restored. How long it takes doesn't matter. If it is 250,000 years for the planet to start again without us, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So at that point, for us, we human beings, we're the only ones can change it. That's why normal people, normal human beings, two conversations I've had today already with just normal people for this boys for the scheme, and standing in the light and knowing the path that they're on and how they're going to be able to help, and get it back to the way that it's meant to be. So really exciting times. It's a brilliant time to be alive when you see it from that level, when you know the possibilities and you know the power that's inside of you, and there's a different way of living and being. Then everything changes. If you're watching, was it Sly News? I heard somebody say the other day. I don't watch the telly really ever. I catch stuff on what do you call it? Facebook. No, Facebook, YouTube. But when you see the mainstream media and how just the agendas and the insanity of how people get sucked into it on so many levels, and the whole circus, and then you see the opposite side of that where the light is rising up and people are talking about, the spiritual revolution of reconnecting back to the self in truth, in light, in the way that it's meant to be, so we can find relief as a species. That's really exciting, so onwards and upwards. Gratitude for the bounce, gratitude for the contrast, the pain and the suffering, and the many, many lessons that I'm still getting. As always, when I'm passing them on, other people are benefiting, so at that point, that's what I signed up for, to kind of go through it myself so I can document it and help others. That's what it's all about. But very much now, hoping this bounce continues, expecting this bounce to continue by being excited. We just need 1 or 2 wee breaks, which I can feel are in the post, and then version 2 is coming out. All the new stuff, the new content, the possibilities of people getting in about it on a different level, on a different scale, to find relief, so we can do this together. The community is what it's all about, a huge part of it. As well as self-reliance at the same time, tending to the self and then bringing that to the table for everybody, so we can all rise together. It's not a table to sit at when you're in survival, or you're a victim, or you're blaming, or you're shaming, or you're conspiracying. There's none of that stuff. It's the solutions. This is all about the solutions. We're looking for warriors, light workers. We're not looking for followers. It isn't a cult. It's about self-reliance. Let me state that. Being empowered and getting it for yourself, but for the greatest good. And that's the challenge I see with them out there that are in it for themselves and not for the greatest good. The hypnotists, the illusionists, the people that are using it for self-gain. That's where, if you're in it for the greatest good and you want to help, and get on about it, I'm here to play. Anybody else, anybody in it for themselves, in it for the money, I'm sorry, man. Fuck off. God bless the bounce. Onwards and upwards. Take it easy. Love and light for the grace and the goodness of all that is divine, including you. Love to you and yours. Take it easy. Keep moving forward. Thanks for tuning in, and bye for now.